do you remember the girl that we covered who looked like an 8-year-old but was actually like 23 years old? Well, she did actually get with somebody, and she got with somebody, and she was being serious about it.
Okay.
He was being serious about her. Now, obviously, we covered this before, and I tried to choose my words very carefully because I do feel sorry for this girl, genuinely. She's not an 8-year-old, even though she looks like one. And she doesn't seem like she behaves like an 8-year-old as well. Like, if you take the fact that her voice sounds like that and she looks like that, what she was doing was
she was behaving like an adult.
Yeah, she was not the behaviors of an 8-year-old. So I do genuinely feel sorry for, I think her name is Shauna Rae. I might be getting that wrong, but I do genuinely want her to find love. But the problem with that is the person that she gets with, I can't look at them as anything but a creep. I just can't. And again, this is a really sticky situation because she looks like an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
She just looks like an 8-year-old. I'm sorry, there's no other way to say it. Again, I do want her to be happy, but the problem is that she can't be happy with an 8-year-old because then legally she's a pedophile, even though she looks like an 8-year-old. But then if she's happy with a full-grown man, what does that say about him? It's a bit of a sticky situation for her. And
Can it not be looked at from the point of view of sometimes you go, looks are not everything and you go for personality?
Yeah, but there's limits to that. There's limits to that. I'm sorry. She seems like a nice person. I do want the best for her. I don't wish any ill will on her at all. But the best for her puts into question that person as well.
Yeah.
And she's also said in the videos that we covered that a lot of the guys that went for her were creeps. As I think majority of them were creeps. And of course they would be. She looks like an 8-year-old. Anyway, this guy, so he's a travel blogger. So in the article in the New York Post, it says that a hunky travel blogger has hit back at claims he is creepy for dating a 23-year-old woman who looks like an 8-year-old girl. Dan Swigart, 26, recently began romancing reality star Shauna Rae, whose growth was stunted due to treatment she received as a child for brain cancer. Shauna weighs 50 pounds and is 3 foot 10 inches tall. Is the subject of the TLC reality series I Am Shauna Rae. Swigart recently shared several snaps with Rae on Instagram before posting a video on the social media site vehemently defending their connection. It's long been a struggle for Rae to date, with the pint-sized personality previously telling the Post that she's underestimated and excluded because of her appearance.
The way me and Shauna met was I saw the first season of the show and I was really inspired by her emotional strength. So I sent her some flowers and a card saying, "Go live your best life, wishing you all the happiness you deserve." Of course, I did the show knowing I was going to get some hate, but it's very important to remember that Shauna is an incredible 23-year-old woman who has a disability. So as you're building a connection with her, it's important to acknowledge her disability and look past that and build it with who she is as an individual. You know, she's this incredible, inspiring 23-year-old woman who just happens to be a little bit short. And as soon as you say that she can't have a real-world connection with someone else, you dehumanize her, which is absolutely disgusting. You know, she is a human being. She deserves to have relationships and connections with whoever she wants. And I think some people aren't emotionally mature enough to understand that you can have a deep connection based on personality rather just on looks.
I feel like that whole video was firing shots at you.
Yeah, but the thing is, I get where he's coming from.
Yeah,
and Shauna seems
sense.
like a nice person. I 100% get it. The reason I wanted to cover this is because I think now they're broken up that they decided to not pursue it in the end. But that's not really the point. The reason I wanted to cover this is because I do genuinely feel sorry for her. I don't see how... I can see how she could be happy for herself. I get that. But I don't see how anyone... Oh man, I feel disgusting saying this because I don't want this woman to be alone for the rest of her life. But because she looks like an 8-year-old girl, anyone that gets with her, you're gonna be like, bro. Like when it comes that, because obviously, you get with her. I know no one wants to imagine this, but it's gonna get to bedroom time. And although she might be a lovely person, you see where I'm coming from?
It's a double-edged sword.
It's lame. It's a lame situation. I wish that like her disability could like just disappear. She could just grow into her body, but I think she's still doing her show as well. We can't really show it because last time they blocked the video. I don't even know how many people saw it. Not too many people saw it, but we did cover it last time. You can watch it, but they blocked in a lot of countries that we posted it out to. It's an interesting situation to be in. I just wanted to say that I want her to live her best life and find happiness, but it's difficult because like finding happiness means that whoever that person is that's making her happy, I do have to call them into question. And even her mum has said this herself. Her mum has said, "Why are you interested in my daughter?" Because I would be happy to be friends with her, for example. She seems like a nice person. I wouldn't have a problem being friends with her. But anything beyond that, because I'm not attracted to children, even though she's not a children, she presents as one, right? I don't know. What would you do? If it's, let's say it was a guy.
What do you mean?
I'm not saying would you go for them, but like, I think who's a good comparison? Hezbollah. Have you seen Hezbollah on Instagram, right? He looks like a child, right? If a woman was to get with him, he looks even younger than her. He looks like a baby.
Like a 3-year-old, yeah.
Would you find her weird?
Yeah.
Because he looks like a baby, right? But that's not me saying that I want Hezbollah to be single for the rest of his life. But the problem is that because he looks even younger than her, he can't get with a child because then he legally is a pedophile and morally is corrupt. So I don't really know how you navigate this situation. I want people in the comment section to tell me what they think. I want them to tell me if they think that if I'm wrong in what I'm saying, if I'm being nasty. I don't feel like I'm being nasty. I do want Shauna to be happy, but I know that her happiness comes with a whole boatload of questions. And I can't even imagine what that family dinner must look like. Can you imagine? Shauna's your daughter or your sister or whatever, and she brings this guy home, this, he's 6 foot or whatever. He's a full grown man. Yeah, you're going to be happy that your daughter is like happy, but aren't you also going to look at him and be like... You're still
looking at your daughter in an 8-year-old body, yes.
Yeah, you're going to look at him and be like, what are you playing at? It's a bit weird. They said, but the Brit has been blasted by viewers with some saying he is sick for thinking of Rae as a legitimate love interest. Yes, she is 23, but she looks and talks like an 8-year-old. She also does not act like a mature woman. She is childlike, one critic claimed. I don't know if I completely agree with that. I think they're saying she's childlike because she looks like a child and she sounds like a child. And so when she, I don't know.
Whatever she does, it's going to seem childlike.
Yeah. Look, try to imagine a lot of the women in your life with a child's voice. A lot of them come out saying some stuff that sounds very childlike, but because they're in a woman's body, you don't perceive it that way. From what I saw watching the show, she didn't come across like she behaved like a woman. She was saying things that I would expect to hear from a 20-year-old. I mean, and then you could argue 20-year-olds say childish stuff all the time. So I don't think that's a fair criticism. I think the fair criticism is that because she looks the way she does, that's where the problem is. They went on to say, if any man or woman can honestly say that they can see her as a sexual woman, they are either lying or sick, period. Another allegedly stated, while the third described him as creepy. And I think all of those assessments of him are actually fair because as sad as it is to say in Shauna's case, because of her situation, she is, I don't even feel good saying this, but she is basically allowing a pedophile to live out his life without the consequences of the law. He can legally be with her because of her age, despite her appearance, and not face repercussions. So not only will the disgusting fetish that they have for children or whatever it is whatever they have for children be fulfilled, he will also be able to avoid the law. And I feel terrible saying that because, again, she's not a child. I do want her to be happy, but I think people need to acknowledge what that means for the man. It's not a reflection on Shauna. It's not her fault that she's like that.
So you look at him as a paedophile?
What do you look at him as? He's not a paedophile by definition, but I would have to say his mentality is in that camp. I can't call him a paedophile. That's defamation. He's obviously not a paedophile, but anyone that gets with her, you are gonna look at her and be like, so you like people that look 8 years old, right? I mean, you just would. The same goes for Hezbollah, right? There's a 40-year-old woman who goes for Hezbollah. I don't want Hezbollah to be alone for the rest of his life, but him not being alone for the rest of his life means that there's some creepy woman that likes men that look like 3-year-olds. So she issued a statement and she said, if you look at me, you see an 8-year-old. But I think if you take the time to look at the details in my face, in my hands, the maturity in my body, and I think if you take the time to actually talk to me, you really understand that I'm a 23-year-old girl. I don't know. When I look at your face, you just look like a child to me. And she just looks like a child. One of the comments says, there are 2 cases to be made here and they're both correct. No, she should not be stricken from seeking romantic relationships due to that which she cannot control. Yes, any relationship she enters will come under scrutiny. So that's basically what I'm saying. Like, I don't want her to be alone. I don't want her to suffer anything. But if she does find happiness, I think everyone needs to call that guy into question and keep their kids away from him. There's no other way to really put it.